And then let's do it. So for those that don't fully know me, my name is Fernando Corona, and I am an entrepreneur and an investor. For the past 2.5 years, I've done everything from drop shipping to wholesaling real estate, out of state investing, flipping contracts for real estate. Then I've gotten into the e-commerce space. I have a company that files sales tax returns for the e-commerce world. I'm in private equity. I'm doing bridge loans for small businesses. So just overall investor, like many of us, we're trying to figure out where we fit in the pocket of investing and making money, I guess. So most of you guys are on here because you're trying to build passive income. Probably you're trying to build legacy, trying to build wealth, trying to figure out how to do all this stuff, because some of us didn't always have everything, right? Some of us came from out of the country and are trying to thrive and be successful for generations. So that's exactly why I'm doing this. At the end of this, I have nothing to sell, nothing to give you, I have things to offer, but I have nothing to sell. So I'm doing this because I want to give back. We've put in a ton of time and effort into this. Not everybody has the privilege to put time and resources. So that's exactly why I'm holding this meeting. Cool. All right. So we'll get to it. And let's see. If you guys hear my daughter in the background, she just turned 1, and she's in the phase right now where sometimes like she's crying. So bear with us if you hear it in the background. All right. This is our safest investment to make $1,000 to $3,000 a month profit in real estate. This right here is actually our house. This is the first house we ever bought in our life, and it is 1,000 miles away from us. We've never seen the home. We've never walked the property, but we made the move in out-of-state investing. Some people would call that risky. I'm going to go into detail as to why it's not that risky. All right, cool. If you're not following me yet, like Daniel, if you found me on Facebook, but not on Instagram, then add me on Instagram. It's Fernando Corona. Right. So investments become less risky as you become more educated. This is something that I believe is true. You know, if you don't know anything about real estate, then you're going to think investing in real estate's risky, even though, there's aspects of it that can be risky. It's all about mitigating the risk. And so the more educated you become on a topic, in this case, out-of-state investing, real estate, then it will become less risky. Now, there still are risks, and I'll touch on what the risks are. I mean, we had a flood, right? Within the first month, we had a flood in our property. So like that could be seen as a risk, but it was a very small blip in that process. Okay. Just to get people familiar with what kind of loans we currently get, right? You get into more debt when you get into a car debt and you're paying off a loan in 5 years, but obviously you need a car to go around, but it's still a liability. So we're talking about liabilities. You go to college, get more debt, you pay that off for the next 20 years, 12 to 20 years is typically college debt. You get a house, that's like a 30-year mortgage, you get into more debt. So these are all typically liabilities unless you know how to put it to use. So you can turn it into an asset when you put your car on an Uber or Turo, right? It becomes an asset. You start actually doing what you went to college for. Then you turn your degree into an asset. You rent your home, or you rent a home that you bought. That becomes an asset. People will sometimes live in one part of their home and then they'll rent out the other part of their home, and that is still an asset. You can essentially living for free. That's called house hacking. So I'm just explaining how people are leveraging debt. I'm going to mute. Hey, I'm actually going to give me a sec. Adam, can I make you co-host really quick? And then anybody that comes on, if you could just mute them. You cool with that?
Yeah, I could do that. Oh, wait, which Adam?
I was gonna ask Adam Vasquez. It doesn't matter, but and any of you guys who wants to volunteer.
Let me see. I'm not too sure honestly how to do that. Let me see.
Okay. All right, then the
other
Adam.
Let me see. You want to try it?
Yeah, that's good with me.
All right, cool. Then I'm essentially no worries. Adam Marcus, right? Okay, I just made you host, so you should be able to do that when people hop in.
I see now.
Okay. All right, cool. So yeah, just the concept of getting into more debt to build wealth, right? This is some of you, it's a novel concept. Some of you, it's not novel at all. Like you're already wealthy or you're already building wealth through debt. But this is a mindset shift. Like the idea that you can make more money by getting into more debt is crazy, right? Like if you want to make $10,000 a month, then you want to go and get X amount of dollars in mortgages and debt in terms of real estate cash flow. You get into more debt to build actual cash flow. It's a really cool concept, really crazy concept. So for those of you that are relatively new to investing in general, getting familiar and getting comfortable with leveraging debt, I know that's going to be kind of new for some people. Like I said, other people, if you guys are advanced investors, then you kind of already familiar with this. All right. So I want to touch on home state and benefits of investing in your home state versus benefits, pros and cons of investing out of state. Some of you, again, this is a little bit of a review, but I just want for the new people who aren't, investors or first-time investors, this is just to give you guys an idea that there are benefits to investing in your home state, and there are also cons to investing in your home state, right? And the benefits of doing things out of state. Some of the pros: access to this 3.5% to 5% down owner-occupied programs. This is like the best definition of house hacking. Houses in California that go for whatever, $600,000, $700,000 up to $1 million. There's programs that you can put down 3.5% to 5% down. Obviously, you're going to have a fat mortgage, but this is where you could even have multiple people living in the house to help you pay down that mortgage. So it's a very low barrier to entry to get into a property. If you're living in other states where prices aren't as expensive, then that is a massive benefit, right? The only reason I'm investing out of state is because California is crazy. So for me, it makes more economical sense as an investor to purchase out of state right now. Pros: you can do house hacking. That's when you're renting out multiple rooms inside the house that you bought. Or if you bought like a 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit home, you're renting out those other 3 units and you're living in one of them. That's also house hacking. The feeling of building a home of your own, right? I think this is honestly something that we feel like we're lacking. I rent, but I rent intentionally because of how we're going to be building our wealth. But one of those feelings, like we miss not necessarily doing things the way we would because we're renting. So that's a pro of investing home state. Some of the cons: if you're in California, insane prices. You get into massive debt. Like I said, insane prices, massive debt. You're essentially house poor. So you're just dishing out, paying your mortgage, and sure, that becomes your investment. But you're paying high property taxes, especially in California, and it's not fixed costs. For me, I pay $2,500 in rent every month. That is what I'm paying. That covers my Wi-Fi, electricity, whatever, all the garbage, the lawn care. I'm only paying $2,500. That is a fixed cost, and then I can go invest elsewhere. I share my philosophy, or our philosophy. We will buy where we want to rent out, and then we'll rent where we want to live. And the concept of that is like our one property over there, right? When it's making us, that property makes us $2,000 to $3,000 a month profit. So that investment property pays for our rent, pays for our lifestyle here in California. We live 10 to 15 minutes from the beach. We live, next to Trader Joe's, and my wife really likes Trader Joe's. Now we go into out of state. By the way, did I miss any pros or cons? People that want to hop in, if you guys want to list off what are some other pros or cons of being in state, if you guys can pop, I know Jim, you invest in your home state. Probably being close is really nice, right? You get to go check up on your properties. Maybe you could self-manage. That's true. Another pro is you self-manage. You don't have to, what are they saying over here? Equity. Yeah. Building different levels of equity. Oh, home equity line of credits. That's true. By owning in your home state or having your owner occupied home, you have access to different equity. So that's when you're owning like in your home state. Right. HELOCs. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. So now we'll get into pros and cons investing out of state. So the benefit when you're going out of state is you're learning a new investment strategy. When you're focused on your home state, again, if you live in California, you're limited to how many properties you could really scale to. And I don't want to say you're limited because there's always ways to get past that, but there are easier ways when you're looking at out of state. Instead of buying $600,000-$700,000 homes in California, you're buying $200,000 to $300,000 homes, and your cash flow is way better. Your liability is lower, right? You don't have to make a $700,000 mortgage payment every single month. So less expensive homes, it means your property taxes are going to be a lot less. There's more inventory when you go out of your own locality, right? You can leverage more debt to scale to more properties. I think this is one of the coolest ones. And I'm going to be sharing a few different loan products that we've used and the ones that we plan to use, so that when we're scaling to 10, 20, 30 properties, it doesn't matter how much income you make. This is the crazy part. It doesn't matter how much income you make. There are still loan products that will cover your property, which is the cool part. Now, you do have to put in like different down payments, which is I'm going to get to right here. When you're investing out of state, you are going to have higher down payments, 10 to 20%. I'll get into more of those as well in later slides as to when it's 10% or 15 or 20 or 25%. You need to learn how to work with the team and delegate responsibilities. I personally, I'm not task oriented. I prefer other people to do the work. I don't like doing all the work because part of building wealth is you get time freedom. But the true way to only get time freedom is if you delegate tasks. So that's where you're hiring the right team to handle a lot of that. But so you have to get comfortable with it. Some people are always thinking like, oh, I need to do it this way because this is the only way it's going to be done right. So you're going to have to learn how to work with the team and delegate responsibilities. You got to learn how to trust others, know when to hire and fire. You know, we hired a property manager. Within 2 to 3 months, we fired him. We hired another one. So it is a process. And luckily for you guys, like we've built a solid team out in Atlanta. We love all the people we work with. We really enjoy working with them. And I'll share all of them with you guys. So you're not local. Now, you're not going to be able to check on your property, right? I think that's one of the cons. And you're going to need to spend time learning the backyard of the other side or wherever you're investing, you know, whether you're investing in Austin or Denver, Atlanta, like us, parts of Florida. So you're going to have to learn how to invest in that backyard over there. All right. So here are the numbers. Just going to cut right to it because I know I shared we're making 1,000 to 3,000 per month. So I'm just going to get to the numbers right now. So our house, this is what our house looks like. We bought this house for $165,000. This house in California would be like, I don't know, 800,000. So getting it for 165, this was in end of 2020. So there's a specific type of home that we bought, and there's a reason for this. And I'm going to go into that right now. But we bought this for 165. Total cash out of pocket was 65 grand. Okay, we went in with a 15% down payment. So this is a regular investor property. Usually you're going in with like 15 or 20%. We prefer to try to remove the amount of cash we have to go in with. So 15% down payment versus 20. I know that we're going to have to pay PMI, private mortgage insurance, until we get to that 20%. But because our cash flows so well, I don't mind as long as I get that lower down payment. Improvements was $32,000. So in order to cash flow $4,000 to $5,000 a month, like what we're doing, we're actually converting the house from a 4-bedroom 2-bath into an 8-bedroom 2-bath. And so we do a rent by the room model, and I'll go into that again in more detail. A rent by the room model on a week-to-week basis. It's pretty cool. We use a platform for it. Cash strategy on this one, we used $45,000 in cash. And then we put $15,000 in 0% credit cards. And what that allowed us to do is it allowed me to then cut that $15,000 is 0% credit. I could pay that monthly with the cash flow that the property is producing. So that was one of the benefits. Projected cash on cash ROI was 25% when we initially got the property. After a year of owning the property, our actual cash on cash ROI is more. We were obviously projecting like a lower amount and we were being conservative. So knowing that we hit 30% cash on cash ROI is awesome. So our monthly net cash flow is between this 1,500 to 3,000. That depends on how many people are actually in the house at any given time. So sometimes in the worst possible month, we had 5 people out of 8 or 5 or 6. And that's how we cash flowed the 1,500. And then in the best months, we had all 8. Like right now, we're at full capacity. We have 8 people in there, and we're probably going to make 3,000 profit in April. So March, April. Yep. Yeah, in April. So that's why it does oscillate between there, depending on how many people move in. But this is the beauty. Like last year, we had to deal with an eviction. Goes into like risk of owning property, right? You think, oh man, you're gonna have to deal with evictions. The beauty of this was we only had to deal with one person, evicting that one person, and we had 7 other rooms that were paying us. So even though we were dealing with an eviction, we actually had 7 other people paying us, so we were still profitable. Yes, we did lose money on that one room, but for us, I think this is less risky than if you just had a regular single family home renting to one family, and now you get that one family that's not paying you for whatever reason, and you're trying to evict that one family, and it gets drawn out for 6 to 12 months. Then you're caught with the bag, right? Then you're truly not profitable. But it was honestly a really good experience where our property manager handled everything for us. I would easily say that the amount of involvement I've had is maybe 10 minutes per month. I just talk to my property manager, see how things are going, and then that's really it. So this is our property, how it's performing. From here, yeah, any questions on this so far, on the numbers or on like the strategy that we've been using?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, who's this? Who's talking?
Lawrence.
What's up, Lawrence?
What's going on, Fernando? The rent by room model,
Yeah.
month by month.
Yeah, it's week by
annual.
week. Yeah, the rent by the room model is week by week. So we use a platform called Padsplit, and I'll share that. Let me see if I can just go to there right now. Let's see. Yeah, right here. This is it. So Padsplit in Atlanta. You guys can look this up right now, padsplit.com. So it's similar to Airbnb, and it's an online platform that brings people who need housing and homeowners. Primarily we're targeting people who, is that like the room and board? How did you convert from 4-bed to 8-bed? All right, I'll answer these questions right now. So we're targeting people who want to pay like $600 to $800 a month for rent in Atlanta for a room. And they're usually like regular workers, but they don't want to figure out Wi-Fi. They don't want to actually get like a home and try to get their own Wi-Fi, set up their own water, get all their own bills and all that stuff, right? These are people that are living there just for a bed. And so there's a market for it. They just want a home to come to that has heat, it has water, it has Wi-Fi, it has all these amenities. And then they go and sleep there, and they go to work. And they go to work, they go to the grocery store, and they come back. A lot of these people are usually on foot or they take public transportation. So we are definitely providing housing, like more affordable housing to the community. So the way that we convert from a 4-bed to an 8-bed is a specific type of house we look for. We look for purposefully split level homes or basement homes. Okay, so split level homes, what's cool about a split level home and a basement home is that on the town records and on the MLS and on Zillow, it'll actually show like, let's say 1,000 square feet. And when you look at the property, you'll be like, 1,000 square feet, how do you fit 8 rooms in 1,000 square feet? Well, what they don't count is the bottom level. So that's why we look for split level homes. If you looked at the property I was showing you, it's actually 2 levels. The bottom level doesn't count this. They don't count the square feet in the town records. If it's a basement or if it's a split level, they don't count the bottom level. So that works in our favor for this strategy, because now we're basically buying a house at a discount, and we turn that bottom floor and we add 4 more rooms to that bottom floor. And then we now have doubled the square footage without having to pay for 2,000 square feet like that. So that's how we did that, Jessica. Hopefully that makes sense. Going back to your point here, so Padsplit, they do take 12% of revenue, but even when they take 12% of revenue, like you're still making good money. Know that 5 to 8% goes to a property manager who works with Padsplit. So think about like Airbnb property managers, right? There's property managers that manage your Airbnb for you. So this is the same concept. I call it a midterm. It's like a midterm model. Is that similar to ADUs? It's not like an ADU. An ADU is additional dwelling unit. So you're like building a separate you're building a separate structure from your regular house. You're adding an ADU, for turning the garage into an ADU. You're building an ADU in the back or something. So totally separate. Daniel, yeah. Go ahead and unmute yourself, man, and then ask your question.
Oh, you actually just answered it. I was going to ask about the property manager and,
Okay.
what's like the split, and then also how familiar are they with this platform, or
Yeah, they're super familiar with it.
slash,
There's a property
slash
manager there who's
they know. Okay, cool.
yeah,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
they purposefully will like focus on Padsplit properties. The one that I work with, at least, and he's super cool. It's him and his wife. So it's you get to work with the owners, and at least right now. So Padsplit is relatively new. I think they're like less than 5 years old. So it's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, I've had really good experience. I know people that own 15 homes. There's people that have owned 15, 20 homes of Padsplits. We're in escrow on our second one. My brother bought one. One of my best friends bought two. We're having another one of my good friends buy another one. So at this point, I was like, okay, this is a thing. We're going all in over here. I'm going to share this with the community. So that's why I'm having this call.
Nice.
All right.
And I'm on their website right now. I see, so Padsplit, it seems like they just have certain markets that they could only go to. Is that how it is? So I can't buy I can't buy a house here in South Florida, let's say in Miami, and do Padsplit. They only do it in the certain markets.
Yeah, not yet. Just like when Airbnb launched or when Uber launched, right? They launched in specific pockets where they thought that they could build a marketplace. So when Uber first launched, right, they had to get riders and they had to get people who wanted to drive cars and pick up strangers. So they couldn't launch all across the United States. They had to launch in, like, honestly, they launched in Santa Barbara, where I went into college. They launched at a lot of universities. And then that way they had like university kids who could drive super drunk college kids to the club. I don't want to point fingers, people who did that. I'm just kidding. And so
Oh
that's
my
the same
God, I
thing that
remember those
Padsplit.
days.
Yeah. So it's the same thing Padsplit's doing. Padsplit is saying, hey, in Atlanta, we're going to launch our pilot program. And they noticed that for whatever reason, the founders picked Atlanta. They might have seen that's where the most need for affordable housing is. And so now they're solving the problem. Hey, you need affordable housing, become a member on Padsplit. Hey, you have a house that you want to make money on, put it up on Padsplit, right? Convert your property to a Padsplit. So that's the other reason that it is work. Like it's not like Airbnb where you can just rent out your house. You actually have to put $30,000 to $40,000 of improvements into your property to build out the 8 rooms, add an additional bathroom, whatever, modify certain things. You have to meet Padsplit standards. But to be honest with you, that only takes a month. Like if we close on this property, I think April 18th, the contractors are now specific. The contractors are trained to build Padsplit properties. So like I said, you guys are still in it. There's a lot of there's a good amount of competition, but I still think it's so good right now to get in, especially since, like I said, property managers, contractors, real estate agents, loan officers, insurance agents, like all these people know about Padsplit now, and they're all equipped to support. Yeah, so Gustavo says Padsplit's in all these other areas. We've explored the other areas like Houston and Dallas. We haven't explored New Orleans yet, or Senate. We haven't explored some other ones, but over Wisconsin, you have to run the numbers. Actually, I'm going to share my sheet with you guys. Yeah, if you want my analysis sheet that I'm going to go over, you guys can start dropping your email in here, and then my VA will send that over to you guys. But I will go back to this. When you ran your numbers on this house, did you run as long-term rental? And is this rent by the room model? Yes, this is rent by the room model. When I ran my numbers, did you run as long-term rental? No. So when I ran my numbers, I'll just show you right now. So this is our house. And when I run my numbers, I'm running them here. Like this. So this is like the entire spreadsheet. And if I want to explain what this is really quick, we got each room, you estimate how much each room will rent for. So we usually estimate at like 145. Some of them are going to rent for more. You can get 170 out of a room. Some of them will rent for less, like 130. So 145 is kind of like the average that you could start projecting your profit through, or your revenue. And then, like, as you can see, your monthly rent here, this goes to $5,000. I do a 13% vacancy. It's just assume that one room is not filled, or throughout the year or something. Then that's just, I think that's a very reasonable vacancy rate, which is super low. My brother just launched his Padsplit a month and a half ago, and he's about to put his 7th person in there. So they fill up within 2 months, which is pretty nice. And then he's with the 7th person, he's going to be hitting $1,000 cash flow. Okay, so here, this is where you can start messing with the numbers. You can start adjusting your down payment, your purchase price. So this has everything. You put your purchase price in here, put the amount of improvements, the closing costs, any miscellaneous costs, what are your holding costs. So I'm putting here $3,000, that because we had to hold the property while we were doing the repairs to it, right? You had to pay the second, or the mortgage for the second month or whatever. Any closing costs, this is a negative number because we got closing costs covered. And then you start putting here your interest rate, your mortgage, the PMI, all that stuff. So it starts adding up your cash outlay, your total cost, and then this will start bringing in your cash flow. So in total annual cash flow, you're looking at like $16,000 with this type of cash ROI. And then down at the bottom, your total cash flow monthly is like $1,400. But like I said, this is, if you're being really honest here, this is actually, I'm going to remove maintenance and repairs. So last year, we only had like $900 worth of maintenance and repairs. So this I could probably put to, let's say, 0. I mean, I could do 900 divided by 12. 900 divided by 12, let's say. And so this is the average was 1,700. But like I said, our rooms right now, none of them are renting for 145. All of my rooms are renting for over 160. And that's how I can hit that 3,000 mark here. So, but when you're running your numbers, you want to be conservative. So I am going to put this one back to 400. Because like I said, we're just being conservative. So as long as this number, when we're being conservative, is over $1,000, I'm happy. And I'm going to make the move. All right. And then the cool part about, are you going to touch on Padsplit reception's opinions to local residents? Yeah. So local residents are not the biggest fan of Padsplits. This goes into some of the risk factor of a Padsplit. But it does depend on where you buy your Padsplit. Like, these are regular people that are living in the Padsplit. So unfortunately, like in certain areas, you get really rowdy. You might get a rowdy person, and the person might cause problems or whatever, cause problems with the neighbors and all that. So the probability could increase now that you have 8 people in there. I personally have not had a big issue like that, but that's not to say that it can happen or hasn't happened. And that means like the neighbors could call the cops and say like, hey, these people are running like this business in this household, and I don't like this. And then you're now in it with the city. And yeah, there could definitely be issues involved. Like I said, I haven't ran through that myself with the city or with the neighbors. But yeah, local residents right now, they're not the biggest fans if your Padsplit's causing problems, right? Meaning the people in there are causing problems. Did you make this spreadsheet? I got this spreadsheet from, where did I get it from? I forget. I think I got it from my realtor. How did I find my property manager? From a friend, other people that are down there investing in Padsplit. I would probably give you my property manager. They're super cool. So Padsplit does not provide property management. Yeah, I would give all you guys my property manager. They're the best. I wouldn't recommend anybody else. And my property managers are very well versed in Padsplit models. They own Padsplits themselves. Do you need a rental business license with the local city? I don't have one. Whether you need one or not, I'm not sure. So I think that question, I don't know. Do you have this as an LLC? We deeded it into an LLC. So for those of you who don't know, you typically want to deed your property into an LLC for protection. This is when you start owning multiple properties. If you have a rental property in your personal name, let's say you got 5 in your personal name, something happens in one of those properties, they say, hey, we want to sue you, and you're whatever, for whatever reason, your insurance doesn't cover what they're suing you for, then they're going to go after your property. And then after they go after one property, if they see you're tied to all these other properties, then they're going to go after all those properties. So something that's smart to do is you have a holding company, and that holding company has LLCs underneath it, and then the houses are in each of the LLCs underneath. So you buy a property, you're using your name as a loan to, sometimes there's other ways to buy properties, but using your name on the loan, you're buying the property, so your name goes on title. After you close the deal, you have an LLC, you deed the title to the LLC. So now somebody sues you that's from that house, they can only sue the house, right? They're limited liability. So they can't go after your other assets. If Padsplit were to go away, or you got into it with the city, what would be your pivot strategy? I mean, we are still, at least my current house is doing well. Yeah, what's my exit strategy? So the way my numbers are right now, if I turned it into a long-term rental, I would still be doing well. So that's kind of how I ran my numbers, that we would run it as a regular long-term rental, and that would be fine the way that I ran the numbers. Or I would sell the property. I mean, we bought it for 165. Right now, everything's selling for 230 or more. So there's still, we built equity in there too. But my plan would be to, my plan is to hold it for as long as Padsplit's around. And then if the time ever comes where we get pushed out, or Padsplit for whatever reason is kicked out, then at that point we'd have to think about, do we want to sell this or turn it into some long-term rental? Yeah, we could turn it into an Airbnb if that's we'd have to do research on it. What is your next plan? Is this shitty show? Would you just rent it out? Yep. Hopefully that answers questions. Cool. All right. Any other questions so far on the Padsplit model? We got, do you know if the valuation went up, down, or no change when you modified it? We didn't get another appraisal. So after we modified it, like, we just haven't had the need to do another appraisal. I'm just talking based off of what the current homes are selling for. What we're buying a property, right? We're in escrow for, it's 230,000. My brother bought a property end of last year. He got it for 230. So I don't really know. We haven't done the appraisal on that property. All right. So this is, you guys can screenshot. What is the average turnover for tenants? I would say like one a month. Usually they are going to be, what was my thought process? Sorry, 1 second. Oh, average turnovers. 6 to 8 months is what somebody will stay in there for. Usually that's like the average stay. That's why I call it a midterm rental. But I mean, we've had people there for longer than a year. Oh, almost a year now, coming up on a year. So it just depends. But I would say like one person moves out and one person moves in every month, which is why I put that 13% vacancy rate. It's about right. But the nice thing is that people have to pay like a move-in fee, which is kind of cool. So I like that. And that comes to us as well. What is the requirement to rent as a Padsplit? Yep. Perfect, dude. That leads me segue into this slide. He asked, what are the requirements to rent as a Padsplit? So we're going to get into, you guys can screenshot this, by the way, the type of homes you want to look for when you're looking to get a Padsplit. So split level home or home with the basement, 1,000 square feet plus on the records. And then you just want to make sure that when you partner with your real estate agent or your contractor, and like I said, I'll give you guys all my people that I work with over there for anybody who's interested after this. You want to make sure that the property is less than 15-minute walk to a bus station, because a lot of these people are walking. A lot of these people take public transport. They'll take the train. So that's a huge bonus. And that's why when this current property, like our numbers, people would be like, oh, that doesn't really, like, we're actually putting $90,000 down on this one property, but it's seriously like not even 5 minutes, maybe like 2 minutes from a bus stop. So I know it's super, super hot. And it's like walking distance within 5 minutes to a grocery store. So that was gonna be our next thing. And because of that location, I knew that this property was going to be super hot, and it's worth the money. It's worth putting the money into it. So these are like huge necessities. Oh, sorry. And then with my property manager, this is really cool, because my property manager manages a ton of other pad splits. I have him tell me what the rooms are renting at in the other pad splits near the house I just bought. So I wanted this house. I sent it to my property manager and said, hey, how are these rooms renting? He shows me, he took a screenshot of everything. They're all booked. All 8 rooms are booked, all renting for super high, above 150, even 160. So I said, I got to jump on it. Okay, parking on site is a huge plus. You definitely want street parking. If there's no parking, then that's going to be hard, because you want to estimate at least half of those people are going to have cars. So you want either street parking or like driveway parking. Look at properties nearby on Padsplit. So on Padsplit, when you're going to Atlanta, you can actually see how the other properties are doing around your target location. And you can obviously see on Padsplit how much the rooms are going for as well. Any questions on this? I think your question is more like, what are the requirements to make a pad split, right? So to make a pad split, again, that it's like your rooms need to be a certain size. It gets a little bit more into the details. I think as you start your process, you talk to the contractors, you talk to your real estate agent, you'll be talking to pad split. You can get into those details. I think that's like too detailed for this presentation, but something we could talk about on the side. All right, I don't even know where my presentation is at now. I wanted to share. Okay, yeah. We're going to my brother and sister-in-law's house. 1.5 months in, 230 grand. They put 75 grand cash, 15% down payment. Improvements were 30 grand. Miscellaneous costs 4.5 grand. They used all cash, so 75,000. Projected ROI was 20%. That was conservative numbers when they're pumping it in. And then actual ROI is like 16% now. So he is, and that's at the 7. I mean, they're only 1.5 months in, right? So that's only with like 7 rooms as of right now, but they're still cash flowing $955. So it's still like, this is considered bad for pad split. If you're only cash flowing $955, that's like definitely on the low end, which is still pretty crazy. Does pad split have a contract with certain real estate agents or contractors? Yeah. Hey, Karen, message me and I'll connect you with everybody that I've recommended for my brother, for myself, for my parents, for my wife's parents, for my friends. So I'll get you guys all that info. I probably should have put it in here, but I will get you that stuff. The real estate agents. Yeah. I mean, anytime you're going to out of state investing, you partner with a real estate agent who knows investing or who works with investors, and they are going to introduce you to the people they recommend. That's how we got it. That's how we built our team. We started with the real estate agent, and then from there, he connected us with all these different people. It's not always perfect. He recommended us to a property manager that we didn't connect well with. And so I ended up pivoting and going to somebody else. But I told him about that other property manager. Now he recommends the other property manager. So there's that. Yeah, no problem. All right. Now the current house we're in, our current property escrow number. So we're at 230 grand. We're looking at like 90 grand that we're gonna be putting into it. We did do a 10% down payment, which is nice, 23 grand, but the improvements, it's a lot of improvements because we're going to have to gut the plumbing and do some stuff to, well, that's really the plumbing. The plumbing is the biggest thing. So that's the biggest bummer. And In terms of cash strategy for this play, we are partnering with investors. And this is actually a time where like I'll open it up to you guys where I said like an offer. If at the end of this, you guys are interested in a pad split, some of you are going to do this on your own, which I'll be super transparent and give you guys all the information you want. For anybody who doesn't want to do it on their own and they just want to partner, like we do this as well. We're doing it now we're starting with family, but opening it up to other people as well. Projected cash on cash ROI 16 to 20%. And all this is to be determined because we're in escrow. But even this deal here, again, we're still looking at a solid $1,000 per month or more in profit. And at 16 or 20%, we'll be repaying, our cash in the next 4 to 5 years, which is fine because that's exactly when my wife's parents are probably going to retire. And now this can become cash flow for them. So we have an intentional strategy to put some of the money in here so that it can pay dividends for when they actually need it. So there's a reason for it. And then obviously, like even right now, the property that we're gonna buy, when we turn it into a pad split, you could even flip pad splits at this point. There's people who will buy that pad split off of you, especially when you've already got the beds and everything set up. Cool. Yeah, sounds good, Daniel. All right. So yeah, I explained our financial philosophy: buy to rent, rent to live. We'd rather own 4 homes that add up to $1 million, making $1,000 cash flow versus owning 1 home worth $1 million here, where we have to pay its expenses. So my wife and I, we want to live by the beach, let's say, and we're looking at Rolling Hills, we're looking at Manhattan Beach or Hermosa Beach, like over here on the coast of California. Those homes are like $3, $5, $10 million. But the rent, it becomes like $7,000 to $10,000. So I can go and buy 7 or 10 homes that cash flow me $1,000. And now I have assets that are paying for how we want to live without me having to buy a $3 to $10 million home. So that's kind of our philosophy. We still get to, and then we can like leave, or we can we're going to be going to Mexico in May. And the idea is we want to be able to travel and live in other places for a month or whatever. And that's all part of like the lifestyle we want to live, or like the philosophy that we have. Eventually, yes, we do have a plan to buy property in California, but that is a little further down the line. But yes, it is part of the strategy. What I love about renting, keeps your costs super fixed. I get to know, my monthly expenses are X amount for rent, and everything else that I produce can go into investing. And then that's how I can build wealth, buy property, all that other stuff. All right, we went into this already. Any other questions on Padsplit? Thanks, John. Appreciate it, man. All right. Any other questions on Padsplit? I'm gonna keep going. I already talked about this. Types of loan products. Okay, this was cool because when I first got into investing in properties, this is going to help one of you guys. I know it for sure. When I first got into investing into properties, I thought you have to put 15 to 20% down. And then I found out that you don't have to do that. You can buy as a vacation home. We didn't do that on our first one. I wish we would have, but nobody had told us at the time. You can buy with 10% down if it's your second home, like a second vacation home. And that's what we're going to be using now for this one, which is awesome. Okay. The way that we're going to scale, the way that I'm going to get 10 properties in the next few years or more, the DSCR loan, the debt service coverage ratio loan. And this one, you still need the 15 to 25% down, but this is the best part. They will not check your personal income. Remember, I'm sure you get this all the time for self-employed. You can't buy a house. And that used to be true. But with the DSCR loan, they go based off the revenue that the house produces. So if you can show them that your house will produce over 1.3x, so you have 1.3x, let's say your mortgage is $1,000. You just need to show that the revenue of that house will produce 1,300. And if you can prove that, then you will qualify for the DSCR loan. Okay, there's different parameters, obviously, but based off your credit score. So there are some parameters to it, but if you have over a 720, then you're going to get the best rates. You're going to get the best type of down payment for this type of loan. And it funds your LLC. So it doesn't even go on your DTIs. Like, this is the sick part. The reason why you can get 10 or 20 or 50 of these types of loans is because it doesn't report to your personal. So it doesn't affect your DTI, your debt to income ratios. So it's not going to show that you actually have any of these debts. Again, they don't look at your personal income. So you're going to be able to scale to as many loans as you want because you're using your property. That the revenue of the property will cover the debt. And that's what they just want to make sure of. So it's a DSCR loan. This is the one that we're going to use to get to 10 or 20 properties. I know I think it's a really cool loan. There are others available, like I'm sure there's the VA loans, which is 0% down. So there's a ton of other ways to buy properties. You know, if you're international or they're ITIN, you can buy properties with ITINs. They have ITIN type loans. You have lower credit scores than FHA. So there's, I haven't had to use a lot of those, but I know that there are many loan products that exist. So never let not being able to get conventional loans, never let that stop you. There's always a way. Let's see what questions I got. No, it's not a resident. Oh, it is a residential loan. Sorry, Lawrence. It is a residential loan, but it's on your business. It's not on. Oh, actually, no, it might be a commercial loan. Shoot, I don't know, Lawrence. I may have to. I do have a lender plug for the DSCR. I've got 2 of them. I'm not sure if it is a residential or commercial loan, but any specific reason why you're asking?
I mean, yeah, because usually commercial loans go based off the value that the home produces. Usually if it's multi-unit, 5 units or up, it's usually a commercial loan. That's why I was wondering.
No, this one, they do it based off the revenue. It's not necessarily off the units, but I don't know if it's commercial or residential, like exactly. I'm not sure because they do give it to your LLC. So I don't know if it's a commercial loan to your business. It might be, but yeah, if you just type it in to Google, I'm sure it'll tell you, right? I just haven't done it off the top of my head.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, let me know if you do it right now. It is the DT debt to income. Yeah, the DSCR is not only in Atlanta. You can do that anywhere across the US, right? You just have to be able to prove that the income that the property is producing is over the threshold. Usually it's like that 1.3x. So if it's 1.3 times the mortgage, then usually you'll qualify for that DSCR. All right, so the next step, obviously you got to build your team. So what I have is you get your real estate agent. Honestly, if you get a really solid real estate agent, then they're going to be the ones that guide you through the whole process, connect you with the contractor at the right time. They're the ones that are ordering the inspections, connecting you with the plumbers and all this stuff, right? Or if you get the right contractor, then the contractor is going to be subcontracting all that other stuff out as well. Getting the right loan officer is huge. They're the ones that are going to be telling you like what to do with escrow, meeting certain deadlines, what loan products you qualify for. The loan officer is probably where you get the most flexibility, the more, I don't know, knowledgeable you are on loan products. Sometimes like the very first loan officer we used, he didn't suggest doing the vacation loan. He also didn't suggest the DSCR loan, right? He didn't even bring it up to us as an option. So this was stuff that I had to learn over time through my network. I wish he would have been like, all right, hey, you're a business owner, you're self-employed, she's making this, like these are all your different options. And this is why we're going to move forward with this one. I wish he would have done that, but it's okay. Like we learn. Okay. Legal team. Yeah. You're going to start learning about what escrow is and why you have to talk to different legal teams and paperwork and all that stuff. I've started using this one, so we're underwrite and approve loans for 1 to 4. Yeah, so there you go. So nice. Thanks, Lawrence, for sharing that. If you guys want to read what a DSCR loan right there
No
is.
problem.
All right. So how do you get started? What do you need? Establish what you want. Okay, this is huge, right? This strategy isn't for everybody, and you have to know what you want. So do you want the highest possible cash flow? The Airbnb is a short-term rental strategy. I think it does really well. I think there's a ton of people making a lot of money in that route. I do think, like, based off the research that my wife and I have done, I think that running an Airbnb is more work than running a Padsplit. But I could say that when you run an Airbnb and you have a property manager who manages your Airbnb, who does a good job, then maybe it's not that much work, right? I just looked at, like, the people usually are renting on Airbnb and they're creating an experience. So you just have to understand that there's a difference. With Padsplit, you're not so much creating an experience, you're providing affordable housing, which is a need. And the reason why I'm pretty confident that Padsplit's not going away is because Atlanta has a problem with affordable housing. So here comes a privatized company who's trying to help them solve that problem by incentivizing homeowners to put their property or convert it to a Padsplit. Then they're helping the city solve a problem. So I'm pretty confident that Padsplit's going to do well. They just got another seed round of funding. That's why I'm like pretty good with it. So going back to establishing what you want, if you just have a ton of money and you don't want to, you're not concerned about cash flow, you want to leverage tax depreciation, you just want to park your cash somewhere, then, maybe Atlanta is not the best place for you. You're probably going to want to go get into commercial properties, multiple units, go park your cash there, get the tax depreciation. And then, you're chilling on that front. So this is the cool part. This is a whole other meeting. Basically, there's a lot of tax strategies when you invest in real estate so that you're reducing your taxable liability. Establish if you want to do this yourself, if you want to work with a partner, if you want to work with investors. One of our friends who's doing this, I think there's like 4 guys who are all putting money together to buy a house. We're obviously using an investor now, but we've bought on our own. I think there's other people that are even like raising money, creating a fund and buying Padsplits with it. Going back to what do you want and why? So establish, like, do you want what? Why do you want the houses that you want? Like, how much cash flow are you trying to get out of this? We had to answer this question because we didn't know what was possible. Like, we wanted to buy rental property, but all we could find were like $100, $300 cash flow, maybe $500 cash flow. We didn't really understand. And so what I'm sharing with you guys right now is a way to, the worst your house is going to do is, as of right now, $1,000 a month, which is like pretty solid. So what questions we got here? More questions. Does Padsplit have a rating system? They do. Yeah, Lawrence, they do have a rating system. You do get rated. You get to rate them. They get to rate you. But because it's need-based and there's not as much of a supply, if people need a place to live, right, then they don't really care about the rating so much because you're providing affordable housing. And like for me, I'm going to be 2 houses away from a bus stop in a specific area. So when these individuals are, when they're, they're looking for a place to crash, like I'm in a very solid location. So even in the worst possible case, right, like whatever, I have bad ratings or anything like that, I don't see why I would have bad ratings. You really have to be providing a poor lifestyle of living there, right? Because again, it's need-based. It's not so much like experience. You're trying to create this woo experience where people leave you 3-star reviews because they didn't provide eucalyptus scented towels. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, no problem. All right. So our tax strategy, this is pretty cool. Again, this probably deserves, but it says the padmates can rate each other too. Oh yeah, that's true. Padmates can rate each other. Some they start living with each other, they become padmates. So our tax strategy, this is again another 7 o'clock. So I'm going to speed up through this. There's basically straight line depreciation that we're going to be using so that we don't get taxed. What it means is that on paper, we can deduct $6,000 a year for the next 27 and a half years. We can deduct $6,000 a year. So let's say our house was profitable only $6,000 and we're like concerned about paying taxes. Well, we can leverage the straight line tax depreciation. My bookkeeper or tax person just says, using straight line tax depreciation on the property, you write off $6,000 and then you don't pay taxes. Capital improvements depreciation. So remember how we're putting up like $55,000 in this one. So that means that this year I can make up to $55,000 and I won't get taxed on any of it because I'm using the capital improvements depreciation. Now, let's say I only profit $20,000. But because I'm still in the negative, because of this capital improvements, then that additional 25 grand rolls to the next year that I can. So that I say next year I make another 20, I still don't pay any taxes on it. And then that other 5 grand rolls to the third year. Bonus depreciation. This means that what I'm doing is taking the straight line tax depreciation of the property and I am breaking up all the components on the inside. So let's say I break up the roof and the roof has a lifetime of whatever, 10 years. So I can depreciate the roof, the refrigerator, the stove, whatever it is. I can depreciate pieces of the property faster. So that way I can take more than $6,000 a year. I can take more of it in like the first 5 or 10 years. In the future, this is cool. So let's say in the future, I'm running out of depreciation. I'm already like 5 or 6 years down the road. What I'm going to be doing is paying my C corporation, a management company. They're my management company, my C corporation management company. And I could pay them between 5 and 30% of the revenue, which is sick. So let's say I make $5,000 a month and I want to start getting rid of that revenue. And let's say my C corporation charges my LLC 30% to manage to facilitate the entire management of the property. So right away, 30% of 5 grand, that's $1,500. So $1,500 a month or over $15,000 a year goes to my C corporation. So that reduces my taxable income of this property. And I can do this for all my properties. And then my C corporation, it's taxed differently than an LLC, but if my C corporation is ever taxed, the most my C corp can get taxed is 21%, which is significantly lower than how my LLC or I will get taxed, right? Because you as a person, you can get up to tax brackets of like 40, 45%, once you're up there. I mean, I think even if you're making 100 grand, I think you're still like at 30%. I don't know if it's like 13% state tax in California and like 19% federal tax or something like that. I forget the numbers, but so you have to become creative. You have to partner with the right tax strategist to help you with your entity setup and your tax strategy, right? They're together. When you have a strong entity structure, then you're going to have a strong tax strategy. And then knowing how they connect, that becomes very valuable once you start looking to scale. All right. Yeah, so you can read what Gustavo says about standards. All right. Last thing I'll leave you with, this is a quote from one of my mentors, Sebastian, who I think is on this call. And he said, knowledge applied creates the experience. So what I've given you guys is knowledge. You have all this knowledge now. If you go and apply it, then you get to create your experience. From that experience, you're going to be given feedback. When you take that feedback from the experience, you now create wisdom. So this is super, super powerful because I absolutely agree. Knowledge is nothing, if you don't actually apply it to create the experience. And if you're not creating the experience for feedback, then you're not building wisdom. So Sebastian, if you're on here, man, feel free to share your Instagram with everybody else. He was my self-mastery coach and he is super cool dude. Any other questions that you guys have when it comes to out-of-state investing, Padsplit? If you're looking to be an investor, if you're looking to do this yourself, Great stuff. Cool, cool. Keep it. Oh, what up, Marcus? Yeah, and Marcus is actually, if you guys see Marcus on there, he is a lender, and they do DSCR loans. He actually introduced me to a lot of very creative loans structures that they have. Cool, cool. Yeah, man. I know we went over at 7:05. That's it. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And yeah, 0% credit cards. I would, by the way, drop your email if you want the deal analysis worksheet. And then if you want the recording, go ahead and drop your email still. So that way we can get it to you. And sweet. 0% interest credit cards. So man, steps to getting funding. This is a whole different conversation. But before I recommend 0% credit cards, I'm going to tell you, do you have over a 720 credit score? Are your personal credit limits over $10,000? Is your personal credit cards over 4 years of age? These are 3 requirements that I typically recommend before you go into like business funding. And then once you got those, that's a pretty solid. Then there's business funding. The very first business credit card I recommend is the Amex Blue Cash. Amex for me is like my favorite bank. They've given me the highest credit limits. I really enjoy my relationship with Amex. Honestly, it feels like it's just super awesome. So is 0% credit cards? Yeah, Amex Blue Cash. And then the next one is Chase, the Chase Business Unlimited Inc. Then they have a Chase Cash. That would probably be the second one. And what would be my third one right now? My third business. Actually, there's one that I can recommend that's a soft pool. It is a 6-month 0% interest, but it is Citizens Bank. This is a soft pool, I think on Equifax. And Citizens Bank soft pool. Oh, sorry, give me a sec. There we go. Yeah, I'll probably be holding another call on credit and 0%, but does that apply Chase first though? That's what. Oh, yeah, that's true. You can apply for Chase just in case you're over 524. Yes, he's right about that. If you want to apply for Chase first, that's cool. Yeah, thanks everybody for showing up. I'm going to stay on for a little while longer. If anybody has questions, I'm going to stop recording though. Oh, who's my host? Adam, can you make me host again or just stop the recording? Is Adam on here anymore? Where are you, Adam? I think my host left. Oh, there it is.
Your host again, Fernando.
All right, sweet. I'm going to stop.